Hello again, everybody. My name is John D. Healy. I do a podcast. It's called It's Good to Talk, and it sure is good to talk. People know me because I produced this book, 2019, for my good friend, Stoney McGurn. Stoney was born in 1941. The book is about all his life stories, his experiences growing up since 1941, up to a few years ago. He's now in his 80s, and he's still alive and kicking. Not playing golf, but kicking around. My sponsors are Liffey Van Lines. They are a moving company here in New York City, and they have been around longer than the New York City Marathon, running smoothly, no doors flying off, no windows falling off. When it comes to moving, let Liffey do the lifting. Always give a shout out to the IrishExaminerUSA.com. My good friend Paddy McCarthy is the publisher editor. Good paper to get all events coming up, especially now coming up at the end of February into March and into spring and New Year, local events and a lot of international news as well, events happening in Ireland and so on and so forth. So that's my shout out today. I will have a few announcements to make at the end of the podcast. I always have a special guest on. Today is no exception. My people are always diverse from different backgrounds, from brain scientists to doctors, lawyers, real estate, medical massage therapists, and all that. So I'm going to say hello today to Nick Hubbard. He is a golf professional caddy. Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Okay, Nick. So Nick Hubbard. I like your last name, Hubbard, because I had a good affair with old Mother Hubbard back in Ireland many years ago, and it was very fruitful. So I have a lot of good things to say when it comes to the Hubbards. So, Nick, tell me a little bit about you first so we get to know you a little bit. Where were you born? Did you go to school? Or did you just walk onto a golf course and start caddying?
Sure. So I am actually from Buffalo, New York, a little town outside of Buffalo called Batavia. Go Bills. Big Buffalo Bills fan. Started playing golf up there, went to Buffalo State, and then found my way out to Hawaii, sick of the Buffalo weather, and got a couple different jobs out there. Place of living kind of fell through, and I ended up in Phoenix, Arizona, Tempe to be exact, and started caddying at TPC Scottsdale with this great company called Caddy Master. And that was in 2009 or 10. Used to travel back and forth from Scottsdale to Wisconsin in the summer, Scottsdale in the winter. Then found my way up to Jersey City, where I work at Liberty National since 2014. Liberty is a pretty exclusive club up here in Jersey. And I actually got promoted a couple years ago, and I'm the caddy master there. I run the whole caddy program.
Right. That's very, very impressive career to date. And to me, you look like a very young man. So you're really doing well for yourself, and you should be proud of yourself.
I am older than I look, which...
Pardon?
I am a little older than I look. I'm 38 years old.
Okay. Well, you look young to me, but
thanks, John.
You're still a successful young man in my eyes. Anyone under 50 is young in my world. So let's talk a little bit about the golf profession. So now you're a caddy master. Could you explain to me what's the difference between a caddy and then you want to be a caddy master? I know when I had my restaurant, Mother Hubbard's, I started working as a dishwasher in my own restaurant to learn all about the business. Too much food coming back on the plate. Well, something's wrong. So tell me what makes you a master. You're the elite of your profession, I assume.
So I just manage the caddies at the club. So we have about 55 caddies, aging in range from 16 to 78. And I keep them all on schedule. I make sure all the members have their requested caddies, make sure we have enough guys every day. And I'm actually in my downtime right now. I'm kind of just answering emails during the winter, but we're about to ramp up here in about 3 weeks. We're going to start recruiting. We're going to start training, and we open April 2nd. So,
all right. So let's talk a little bit about the caddy training, okay? For someone like myself, it's like just walking after a guy who hits the ball and walks after a ball, and you walk after him, and it's simple to me. But not all that simple. Tell us some of the the complicated things that can happen or might happen on a golf course?
Well, I mean, it's dangerous. First of all, safety is huge. I've been hit with a golf ball. It is no fun. Um, you gotta kind of keep your wits about you. You got golfers of all different skill levels. I always use the analogy. Unfortunately, it's not like a mountain, like where you go skiing. You got double black diamond. You got, different. You could die. So people stay off the harder stuff. But golf, it doesn't matter how good you are. Everybody wants to play the best courses out there.
Okay.
So it's a lot of work. You're out there for 4.5 hours, either carrying 2 bags or running next to carts, preferably staying ahead of your players and, maintaining the course, reading putts, taking care of their clubs. It's a lot of customer service. We don't have pros. When we've had quite a few pro events at our club here, but they usually bring their own caddies.
Okay.
But yeah, we mostly cater to the 1% of Manhattan that can afford our club.
Okay, it sounds like a very exclusive club indeed. So let's talk a little bit more about the golf game itself. I had a sports journalist on here a year ago, happened to be my nephew actually, talked about rugby and Irish football, Irish hurling and all that. And he corrected me, which I like to be corrected because I make mistakes. And I said, rugby, for example, well, in my eyes or in my time, was a sport for the elite. And he corrected me and says, no, not now. If you're good enough, you can play. Would I be correct in saying that golf was a sport for the elite, and now is it every man's game?
It still is pretty expensive. Most people are well off that play golf, but it is making quite a turn. Tiger Woods obviously is responsible for like 85% of golf bags that are in car trunks right now. He grew the game quite a bit. That was when I was young. I was watching Tiger play, and the game has changed so much since I was 10, 11 years old watching him play.
Well, that's kind of what my nephew, Michael D. McAndrew, you can look him up on YouTube as well. For my listeners, my guest today is Nick Hubbard. We are talking about being a professional golf caddy. So a little more about the golf thing, like mistakes that a golf caddy can make. So say you are the caddy to Tiger Woods, and it's a certain hour of the day, and the sun is high in the sky. And I did have a professional photographer on here, Ron Lewis. Not a sports photographer, but a photographer for National Geographic. So the best light is at a certain time of the day for photography. But let's say you are the golf caddy for Tiger Woods, and I assume you stand behind him when he's going to be teeing off. Right?
Generally, the rule of thumb is you stay either belt buckle to belt buckle or belt buckle to backbone. You never want to be directly behind anybody. Obviously, you don't want to be right in front of anybody because you'll get killed. But if you're behind them, it's very distracting. So you want to be 6 feet behind them or 6 feet in front of them.
Okay.
Basically,
I guess my point is,
you don't want to be back here. You want to be here or behind them.
Okay, I guess my thought was, you don't want to be standing somewhere where you're casting like a 9-foot shadow.
Right. Yeah. You got to be
probably like 5'10", I guess. I don't know what type you are, but
yeah, that's about right.
But okay, good guess. I'm good at guessing sometimes. So they don't need a shadow in front of them, and that's one thing. Okay, that's another question for you. As a good caddy, what's the good things you can do for an average golfer, or maybe a professional golfer? Can you say, "Oh no, don't do that," or can you say, "Yes, do that," or do you just know the proper club to give them? How do you figure out all that?
Well, you got to read your player. If you're caddying for somebody for the first time, you kind of spend time with them on the range, get a feel for their game. By the second or third hole, you should have their bag down. You should know how far their clubs are going. Hustle. you gotta move fast. You gotta think 3 steps ahead all the time, and you're always gonna be wrong. When they miss a putt, it's your fault. When they make a putt, they did it. It's you know sometimes you get the customer or client that's fantastic and they give you credit, but most of the time you're just kind of taking a beating out there and trying not to piss anybody off too much.
Right. Sounds
Golf
like
does that enough.
I know, it sounds like advice my mother gave me. She was always giving out, but she said it's good for you. It doesn't kill you, it'll make you stronger. So let's talk a little bit more about other aspects of being on the golf course. Uh, let's talk about the dress code, for example. Can you walk out there as a caddy and wear your jeans with the knees ripped out of them, or have you look a bit more sharper?
Yeah, you got to look a little better than that. We do 2 different things. We have in the colder months we have the coveralls that you see at Augusta, the all whites, and then once it gets warmer, we have bibs and khaki shorts, khaki pants, white polo shirt.
Okay.
Nothing too fancy.
Okay. And of course, there's new footwear on the market now. There's golden sneakers. Is there any dress code for wearing golden sneakers?
Just basically comfortable walking, running shoes. I try to stay away from golf shoes as a caddy because when you step on the green, and you affect the green more when you have spikes. So yeah, just comfortable walking or running shoes are perfect.
Okay, very good. And the guys that cut the grass, they're completely different. That's a different job for a different guy, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, that's the maintenance crew. That's a whole different staff.
Whole different staff, okay.
Yeah, they get there real early. They're done by 2, 3 o'clock.
Okay, so we won't worry about them too much as long as the grass is short, where it should be, and when the rough is the rough, I guess. So let's talk about maybe the personalities of some of the people that you've caddied for. I know, like, I've done a lot of interviews here in the music world, musicians and singers and that, and some of them can be prima donnas, like Van Morrison, for example. I knew a girl who was a personal assistant to Van Morrison. Love his music on the radio or on a computer, but to go to him in concert, if the personal assistant brought him a bottle of sparkling water instead of a bottle of still water, the whole night's ruined. He's upset. Could that happen with a golfer?
Oh yeah, seen plenty of stuff out there with big celebrities, and most of them. I mean, the more famous they are, usually the more relaxed and chill they are as people. But yeah, they come to their private club. They don't really want to be bothered or ask for photos or ask for autographs or anything like that. So you got to kind of stay professional. But for the most part, I've had pretty excellent experiences. We had DJ Khaled there this summer. Danny Jones from the Giants is a member. Justin Timberlake's there every once in a while. Tom Brady. But yeah, it's mostly finance guys.
Right. Okay, well, we're all human beings. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You still have to be, a good person and decent, as decent as you can be. Speaking of decently, you were a caddy to Rory McIlroy. Is that correct?
I have caddied for him at Liberty before. I mean, we just one round. Nothing like I didn't tour with him or anything like that.
Okay, so he's actually, well, in my eyes, he's Irish. He's a bit confused. Born in Northern Ireland, and he used the British flag to golf under. So a little confusion there for that young man. I think he's about in his mid-30s, 35, maybe something like that. But yeah, he's up there, of course, with the best in the world, without a doubt.
Top 5 easily.
Top 5, okay. Well, good for him. Just because I have an ambivalent feeling about him. That's just the Irish history and the British, As a matter of fact, his uncle was assassinated by the UVF, which would be a guerrilla war group during the times of the Troubles. So they would have been on the Protestant side as opposed to Sinn Féin IRA, who were on the other side. So, but Shane seems to have got over that. Not Shane, Rory. I said Rory has got over that very quickly. He did leave a wife or a potential wife at the altar. He left her in the lurch. I think he sent her a text and said, "No, I'm not marrying you." And he went on to marry another girl, beautiful girl. I think they have one baby. So enough on Rory and the Irish history lesson there. I want to go back to something I touched on earlier on, is like sponsorship and endorsements. I know you mentioned Tiger Woods' name being on various products, like golf balls. Like, do professionals promote their own golf balls? I assume golf balls are a standard size, number one. I would imagine that. But say, would the likes of Donald Trump have Trump golf balls?
I mean, most people play like big companies like Titleist or TaylorMade or golf manufacturers make golf balls. I don't see very many personal
Like the name on a ball.
I mean, they'll put their name on it, but it'll still be like a Titleist or a TaylorMade.
Okay, so it has to be a standard golf ball, basically, for the purpose of whoever's playing golf. And I bet it'd be the same weight, same size, and all that. I don't know if there's any fancy things like maybe
they're all made differently. To some spin more, some spin less.
Okay, that's interesting.
Compress more. Some are harder, softer.
Okay.
Just depends on what you like. Like what?
Okay, I didn't know that. I'm glad I asked that question. Now that's kind of interesting. It's like playing pool in a bar. One pool stick is different from another pool stick depending on what you want. Or darts is another good example. Of course, darts come in different weights. And what about colors of golf balls? Is there people that are a bit freaky? They want yellow fluorescent golf balls, or
yeah, they're all over the place. You can get all kinds of different colors. White and yellow are pretty much the standard, mostly just because they're easiest to see in the grass.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Well, I know myself and Donald Trump, we hate, we don't like blue balls. But moving along, because there it can be painful. So, is it expensive to join, say, Liberty National Club?
Yeah, it's very expensive.
And how does that work? Is it an annual membership, or?
Yeah, so there's an initiation, and then you pay dues annually. We are actually capped at 300 members, and we have a big, long waiting list as well.
Sounds impressive. So, I guess if there's a high membership into the place, guys like you, Nick Hubbard, must be earning a good salary. I would hope so.
Yeah, it's great for the golf industry for sure. Typically, we're in the service industry, so caddying is probably one of the best ways to make money in golf, and most of it's cash in hand. So do with that what you will.
Well, I know.
But it's a pretty grueling grind if you want to become like a club pro or something like that. You got to go to college for it, and you got to pass what's called your PAT. So you got to prove that you're good enough to be a golf pro. Until you actually make it up to the top levels, you're not really making a whole lot.
It's like when I go to my local bar, if I like my bartender, or the server, or the waitress, I tend to tip well.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the word tip, it goes way, way back to the old times of TIPS, to improve prompt service. So, say if you are a good caddy, do the professional golfers tip you well? Or if you don't get a tip, do you think, oh, well, screw you?
Yeah, you don't want to get stiffed, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, really, you just read your person. You kind of want to just be their buddy. Like reading people is huge. If you can't read people, then you're going to have a hard time. You can't just go out there and be a robot, be the same person every time. You kind of got to cater to the group, become one of the guys, kind of sharing the good time with them.
Right. That sounds interesting. That's almost like for a day you're hanging out with Rory McIlroy. So you love Rory for a day, more than you love your own wife.
Right. Yeah,
But
he's your favorite athlete that day, for sure.
okay, yeah, okay. When you have to come home and sleep with your wife, you don't have to sleep with Rory, of course. So, getting back to more of the golf topic, my guest today is Nick Hubbard, professional caddy at the Liberty Club in New Jersey. Got really nice country club, beautiful scenery. I believe you can see the skyline of New York. You can see the Statue of Liberty, and I find that a lot of golf courses are on scenic parts of the countryside. Like I know in Ireland, I would just walk a golf course just for the scenery alone, even if I never hit a ball. So scenery seems to be important.
Yeah, I mean, aesthetically, you want a memorable experience, so scenery is a big part of that.
Okay.
And Liberty's right on the Hudson, so we see the statue, the skyline, pretty much every single hole you're on.
Okay, speaking of another aspect of golf, I did have Adam Cardona on here. He is a sports massage therapist, and I will be having him back on again because I have some questions for him. There's like writer's cramp, there's tennis-itis. What injuries do golfers get, or do they get injuries?
Well, tennis elbow happens to golfers too. Back injuries are big. You're twisting and turning in awkward ways. I personally had lower back surgery when I was a young kid too.
Wow. So I have a lot of questions for Adam Cardona.
What's that?
Adam Cardona is a sports massage therapist. He's been on before, but we generally talked about massage in general. We didn't focus totally in on, say, somebody walking on a golf course and twisting their back or their lower back or their leg or whatever the case may be. So they are common injuries to a golfer.
And yeah, you're using every part of your body every time you swing. So, you tweak anything and it's going to hurt every time you swing.
Okay. And I suppose the other aspect of golf, which people maybe like myself might be more interested in from a marketing point of view or a networking point of view, is the networking aspect for businessmen to meet other people and, talk shop, talk business, talk real estate, talk buying and selling property. Is that a big aspect of the golf world, or is it more the health aspect of walking in fresh air?
It's very prevalent on the golf course. Lots of business gets done out there. A lot of our members just use that club as a way to entertain clients.
Okay.
We have a lot of hedge fund guys that, bring potential donors or investors out all the time. It's a huge aspect.
That's very interesting. So Nick Hubbard is my guest today. The podcast is good to talk, good to listen to, of course. So speaking about listening, would you be able then, if you could lip read, of course, get some tips from guys like the brokers, the real estate guys, and say, "Oh, this hot deal is coming up"?
Yeah, I mean that's the dream, but it hasn't personally happened to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are investing millions and millions of dollars, so they're a little bit above my anybody that's caddying's ability to kind of partake in what they're doing. But yeah, that would be a fantastic little bonus.
It's a bit like going to horse racing. Do you talk to the jockey or do you talk to the horse?
Right.
But or you look at each and the horse gives you a nod and says "fuck off,"
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. But let's see what ground, pardon the pun, what ground do we not cover? So members are allowed to bring guests, I would assume, yeah?
Yep.
That makes sense. And I'm sure it's a great experience. I'm sure there's great facilities. I'm sure there's restaurant, bar, and entertainment. Speaking of entertainment, does the club ever put on like music events or anything like that?
Yeah, there's all kinds of different stuff. When we have pro tour events, there's always some musical acts. We've had we've had Jimmy Fallon and Timberlake out there doing stuff, and Tiger and Rory shot a commercial out there. I mean, generally, we blast music on our driving range too. Most clubs don't do that. But we have big speakers on the driving range. We're kind of more of a party club than we are a stuffy club.
Okay, very good. That reminds me, actually, because I had another podcast on a few weeks ago. Brian Walensky is a eye specialist. He deals with your eyesight and eyes and all that. So we spoke briefly about Stevie Wonder and how he lost his eyesight when he was a baby, but he was very successful in his career, singing in the music world. But he bumped into Tiger Woods at a charity event one evening. I'm not sure where it was. And it was after the event, and Irish people like to run to the bar to get drinks, and black guys like to run to the buffet. But it was after the buffet and near the bar. And Stevie bumped into Tiger Woods. And Tiger said, "Hey, Stevie, how you doing?" And he said to Stevie, "How's the singing going?" And Stevie said, 1 month up, 1 month down. He said to Tiger, "How's the golf going?" And Tiger says, "Some months are better and some months are not better." And Stevie said, "My golf is the same." And Tiger looked at him and said, "You play golf?" And Stevie said, "Yeah, I play golf." "How can you play golf? You're blind." Well, he said, "I have a really good caddy." So the caddy puts the ball down, I tee off, tells me how far I should hit it and all that and all that. And Tiger said, "I'd love to play you sometime." Steve said, "Sure, but I only play for money. I only bet." And Tiger says, "No problem. We can bet money." So they set up a time and a day and a date and all that. And Tiger says, what time should I meet you?" And Stevie said, "How about 12 o'clock midnight when it's dark?" So they each have the same handicap. That's a kind of a corny joke. Nick, it's good to have you today. Good to talk with you today. We learned a lot about the world of golf. We learned about dress code, of course. I won't be seen going around wearing golden sneakers. I think they're a little bit outrageous, to say the least. Although they may be a huge seller on the market if you like golden shoes or golden sneakers, sorry. So where is Liberty? Just so my guests will get an idea again, just to refresh them. And is there a website for them to contact if they need to join? Okay.
It's on the other side of the river from it.
And they can just Google the information. And if they have deep pockets, and if they want to bring a guest,
get on the waiting list. Yeah,
they'll be on the waiting list probably for a long, long time. All right. I don't think we have much more to talk about, Nick. I usually sign off in my native language, which is Irish language, Gaelic language, because I was born in County Mayo. And that's where my native language is. Of course, the English, and the Queen of England taught me how to speak English. And I believe the English were maybe responsible for creating the game of golf. Could be wrong. Scotland is pretty good for being creative as well. There's a few golf courses around Scotland.
St. Andrews in Scotland actually was the first golf course, the first known golf course in history.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Good to know. And then Ireland, of course, turned a lot of farmland into golf courses. Mm-hmm. So all over Ireland, there's some good, great golf courses. All right. Good to have you, Nick. Do you want to say anything else before you?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This is the first time I've ever been on a podcast.
So all of my other podcasts, there's over 100 out there. And I would tell my listeners to check them out, look them up. Check out the Irish Examiner USA if you just want to read the paper and see what events are coming up. Speaking of events coming up, the Mayo Society, which I'm a member of the Mayo Society, are having a big dance on March the 9th. My sister will be the Woman of the Year, and Jimmy McMahon is another guy. He'll be the Mayo Man of the Year. So they're the two honorees. That's March 9th. And then the St. Paddy's Day Parade is coming up, of course, on a Saturday this year because of the day it falls on. So the Mayo Society, you can check that out if you need information. You can email me if you're a listener and you want to go to the dance. I think the tickets are only $125, and you can drink and eat and have fun and listen to music. And then the IBO is the Irish Business Organization, and they have 4 events every month. And you can Google them as well, ibo.org. Paul Finnegan is the president, and he also does a podcast called Centerpiece, and two other gentlemen from the IBO, Martin Nutty and John Lee. They do a podcast called Irish Stew. All different formats. As I always say, we don't hang our clothes all on the same clothesline. I have different people on to talk about different things. So I was glad to have Nick Hubbard today. Nick, I'm going to say Oscailga, I'm going to say Slán, which means goodbye, Slán Awalya, and Slán Gafol. Gora Mahigut means thank you. And August Gora Mahigut. Shin Scale, that's a story. August Scale. So Slán Gafol. Bye for now.